I mean, I was inspired by this story by an article you sent me earlier in the week, Rev, about the vaccine getting into your liver cells and being
Yeah.
converted to DNA.
Yeah.
Wow. The messenger RNA from Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine is able to enter. Let me say this. This is from the Epoch Times. I want to give them credit. This is able to enter human liver cells and is converted into DNA, according to Swedish researchers at Lund University. The researchers found that when mRNA vaccine enters the human liver cells, it triggers the cell's DNA, which is inside the nucleus, to increase the production of the line 1 gene expression to make mRNA. The mRNA then leaves the nucleus and enters the cell's cytoplasm, where it translates into line 1 protein. A segment of the protein called open reading frame 1 or ORF1 then goes back into the nucleus, where it attaches to the vaccine's mRNA and reverse transcribes into spike DNA. Now, reverse transcription is when DNA is made from RNA, whereas the normal transcription process involves a portion of the DNA serving as a template to make an mRNA molecule inside the nucleus. The whole process occurred rapidly within 6 hours. The vaccine's mRNA converting into DNA and being found inside the cell nucleus is something that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention said would not happen. Let me just say this again. The vaccine's mRNA converting into DNA and being found inside the cell's nucleus is something that the CDC said would not happen. So they lied to us again. Now, this is the first time that researchers have shown in vitro or inside a petri dish how an mRNA vaccine is converted into DNA on human liver cell line, and is what health experts and fact checkers said for over a year could not occur. Wow. So the CDC says COVID vaccines do not change or interact with your DNA in any way. The researchers at Lund University in Sweden have found that that is not the case.
My.
Right. The Swedish study also found spike proteins expressed on the surface of the liver cells that researchers say may be targeted by the immune system and possibly cause autoimmune hepatitis.
Wow.
So, Jesus Christ, Rev.
So let's park here for a minute.
Yes, let's.
We were told emphatically, no doubt about it, nothing can possibly go wrong. Nothing.
Nope.
Can go wrong. Those of you all that remember that movie back in the 60s, Westworld, or you've seen the new HBO reincarnation of it, it all is based on the premise that we could create something that we could control for our benefit, and we enjoyed it. And then down the line, unforeseen events flipped the script, and what we created for our enjoyment and pleasure turned out to be for our harm. Now, in this case, we were told COVID-19 was a killer.
Yeah.
That it was, you could even call it an extinction level event.
Oh, yeah.
That if they didn't deal with COVID-19 now, forcefully, and completely, that it would kill us all.
Right.
And so we did what we had to do. We did what, in some cases, we did what made sense. All right, you're saying this is something similar to a cold. You generally catch a cold because somebody else sneezes. All right, masks. But then they told us masks wouldn't work.
Yep, they absolutely. At the beginning,
Yep.
Dr. Fauci went on the air at 60 Minutes and said, no, you shouldn't wear masks. So.
Mm-hmm. Of course, they later changed their mind on that.
Yep.
Then they told us, this was, before the 2020 election, or before the inauguration in 2021, the shots that have been developed, I wouldn't trust those shots.
Yep.
They're not good. And then 21 came, And everything changed. Now the shots are good. You need the shots. You must have the shots.
Or you're Hitler.
You cannot go into the hospital without the shots.
Yep.
You got to have your paper that's stamped that says you had the shots.
Yep.
Or maybe they wouldn't let you travel.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't let you go and see people.
Yep.
You couldn't go to restaurants.
Right.
You were a prisoner in your own home.
They took children away from their parents in custody battles if the parent wouldn't get vaccinated. Remember that? We did that story here.
All of this over something that is a relative to the cold. Now, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but humans have been trying for decades to find a solution to the common cold.
Yep.
We haven't. Our bodies have learned to live with the common cold.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we have COVID-19, which is, in that family.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't solved the flu. We deal with the flu, and we're able to basically keep up with the flu, but we haven't eradicated the flu.
No.
Every year we get new shots, and every year some of those shots work, some of those shots don't. And we treat folk, and we keep on keeping on.
Right. I think, for me, this will always be about the sheer level of control that people like the CDC demanded over all of our lives. It's not just about, oh, they were wrong, because they could have just said, look, the science is evolving on this. We don't know exactly how this virus is going to act. We don't know exactly how these vaccines are going to react. We're doing the best that we can. Treat the American public like adults.
Mm-hmm.
Treat the American public like adults. And we wouldn't have any issue. We just say, look, I'm sure they're doing the best they can. The fact is, they ruined people's lives. Remember, we almost, here at WLTH, they told us either get vaccinated or you're fired, okay? Mm-hmm. Or wear a mask. That's why I'm wearing a mask now, because I didn't get the vax.
Mm-hmm.
But they all in our society, everywhere in our society, restaurants wouldn't let you eat. You had people saying that people, like I said, people lost their children. Mm-hmm. People lost their jobs. People lost their families, relationships. Everything was sort of tilted in the favor of, if you do not do this, you are basically Hitler Jr.
Mm-hmm.
You are Hitler Jr. You don't care about your grandmother. You don't care about your parents. You don't care about anybody if you don't get this vaccine. They told us specifically that you would not get COVID if you were, specifically they told you if you would not get COVID if you were vaccinated. Like they said specifically, and I have the montage here where you could just hear
in 2021.
This is Bill Gates.
We should be able to manufacture a lot of vaccines, and that vaccine, key goal is to stop the transmission, to get the immunity levels up so that you get almost no infection going on whatsoever. Everyone who takes the vaccine is not just protecting themselves, but reducing their transmission to other people and allowing society to get back to normal.
We can kind of almost see the end. We're vaccinating so very fast. Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus.
Rachel Maddow.
The virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else. It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people. That means the vaccines will get us to the end of this.
Essentially, vaccines block you from getting and
Dr.
giving
Monica Gandhi.
The virus.
Fully vaccinated people are at a very, very low risk of getting COVID-19. Therefore, if you've been fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask.
See, that's the President of the United States right there saying, it's specifically, if you get vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask anymore because you're not contagious. Again, if they had just said, we don't know, if they had just said, we don't, had they just been honest with the American public, we wouldn't be having this issue right now. Okay? Mm-hmm. But they knew from the jump. And here's the problem. They knew also that there were issues with with side effects from very early on Here is Dr. Let me see. Here is. Let me see, make sure I get this this person correctly. Dr. Brian Hooker, where he talks about them knowing about.
He devised a method into when we would know exactly when VAERS predicted that myocarditis was a side effect of the vaccine, and specifically in males between ages 8 and 21. So adolescent and young adult males, even some children as well. And we wanted to find that. Remember, the rollout of the vaccine was first in the United States on December 10th, 2020. And it turns out that the signal for myocarditis became statistically significant if you follow the VAERS database just 10 weeks later. 10 weeks later, they knew
after that
myocarditis incidence in males was much, much higher. Karl Jablanowski did a comparison, what's called an internal control. He looked at the other adverse events associated with the COVID-19 vaccine, and he found that significantly there were too many or many, many more adverse events involving myocarditis.
So they knew within 10 weeks of December 2020, so that's about February of 2021, they knew that there was, using VAERS, the vaccine adverse reactions database, they knew pretty early on that there were side effects that they should be worried about. And again, if people wanted to, on their own, take that risk, especially older people, people over 60, people over 50, if I'm not mistaken, were the most adversely affected by COVID. So if those people wanted to say, look, I'm getting it in anyway, I probably won't have to, I probably won't, myocarditis is probably the least thing that can happen to me, especially at my age, then people should have been able to do that. The issue is when you ruin people's lives for not going along, and it's crazy. This may be the biggest fraud perpetuated ever against the American public, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is definitely up there. I'm trying to think of, well, maybe the issue we're going to talk about in our next topic is right up there. Russiagate.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be one of the biggest frauds ever perpetuated against the American public as well. But, ultimately, I think a lot of this goes back to people just not being held accountable in Iraq after Iraq fell apart and after the economy collapsed in 2008. That would, like, we don't hold people in power accountable in this country at all, ever, at any point anymore. And so I think that, why wouldn't the government constantly perpetuate frauds against us? Like, we're easy.
Mm-hmm.
We let them do whatever they want whenever they want to do it. And this is really a very unfortunate situation. Oh, before we go to a break, I definitely want to talk about something that the CDC tried to hide last week, right? Last week on Friday, they released this story right before the show started that a safety monitoring system flagged that U.S. drug maker Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech's updated COVID-19 shot could be linked to a type of brain stroke in older adults. According to preliminary data analyzed by U.S. health authorities. This is from the Associated Press. Again, I don't make these things up, folks. As you guys know, I do my research. I get actual doctors. I get the Associated Press, Reuters. I use legitimate news sites here. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Food and Drug Administration said on Friday that a CDC vaccine database had uncovered a possible safety issue in which people 65 and older were more likely to have an ischemic stroke 21 days after receiving the BioNTech Pfizer bivalent shot compared with days 22 through 44. The ischemic stroke, also known as brain ischemia, is caused by blockages in arteries that carry blood to the brain. The FDA and CDC said that other large studies, the CDC's Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, VAERS, that's what Dr. Hooker was talking about in the last video, other countries' databases and Pfizer-BioNTech databases had not flagged the safety issue, added that it requires more investigation. Pfizer and BioNTech said in a statement that they have been made aware of the limited reports of ischemic strokes in people 65 and older following vaccination with their updated shot. So again, who's going to be held accountable for this, Rev?
I don't know. I wonder.
You know, that's really the issue in our society, is that, like, it's no wonder people in, say, 2020 just said, look, why not loot? Why not steal as much as we can? Like, if the people in power are never held accountable for anything, then what do laws mean, Rev?
Exactly. I mean, the whole point of saying you have a society that is governed by the rule of law is to say that no one can influence their way out of consequences, buy their way out of consequences, birth their way out of consequences, that the law is good and it's good for everybody.
Right.
This situation, you know, I was trying to find the story about that African-American screenwriter who committed suicide during the pandemic.
Her. Yes. I remember we did that story. Remember about her, and her father came out and did her father came out. This was very early in the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken. This was like about a few months in, 3 or 4 months in. And she was a very beautiful woman. She wasn't like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that, like, I'm not trying to be a pig here, but I'm just saying, like, she's not somebody who you would think would be depressed and, like, lonely and all this other stuff. But she was struggling with mental health issues. And I remember it, she committed suicide, and she had actually left, like, hints on social media that she was struggling. And I remember doing that story here. I wish I could remember the woman's name as well, but she was a famous writer. You're right.
She was a showrunner.
Yeah.
And you know, that whole thing where we were forcing people in isolation, we were forcing people to buy things. You know, now of course these companies like Amazon are having to lay people off.
Yep.
All those people that they rescued from unemployment courtesy of the pandemic, now they're letting them go.
Yep. While making record profits all the
same. Yes, right. They're still making money.
Yes.
Hand over fist. It's stuff like that gives the whole notion of us being together, us being in community, leaves such a sour taste and causes the younger generation to think that that's all a lie too.
Yep.
That really the bottom line is everybody's out for themselves. You know, the strong survive, the weak to the wall, and the devil take the hindmost, as the old saying goes. Look, we don't know, and I could have lived with we don't know what this disease will do.
Yes.
I would have taken whatever precautions seemed prudent. I would have taken whatever health adjustments would seem prudent. But we were forced into this.
Yes.
And now we're being told, oops.
Yep, oops. You had a stroke, oops.
Sorry about that.
Your 18-year-old son or daughter died from myocarditis, oops.
Sorry about that.
Oh, we got some callers. The phones are blowing up, Rev. Let's see what they have to say before we go to this break. Hello, caller.
Okay, good evening. How you doing?
It's all good, brother.
Hey, good Rev.
Hey, brother.
Now, good Rev, you know I'm mad at you.
I don't know why.
You left out of that this morning, didn't even say back, Cleveland. That's just up and down.
Well, did you call that when I was leaving?
Yeah, I had called her, and she said, good Rev, I'm gone. But look, you know I got to have some fun with you. Now, you know I can't
course.
Oh, okay, as long as we understand that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now look, to both of you all. Now, you all know that the bricks and mortar days, back in 2008, 28, 2009, doing those business classes, that woman, the professor has said, those bricks and mortar days going to be gone. You already know that, right?
I know people say that, but you know what?
This was a class. This was.
I understand. I understand that, but hear me out for a second.
Okay.
See, the people that say stuff like that think that the only purpose that shopping places serve is that of exchange of goods.
You ever heard of business administration?
I'd have. But here's where I'm starting to read.
It was in the business. It was in the business.
I understand that, but hear me out. Okay. See, the thing is, stores serve other purposes. Mm-hmm. See, people don't just go to stores just to buy things.
Look, good man, you're 1,000% right. But I'm just saying that it came to pass from what business administration and business law, it came to pass what they was talking about. The bricks and mortar days can be gone. Everything's going to be on the internet. That's all I was getting at.
I'm saying that's not true.
I'm not disagreeing with you 100%. I'm just saying how business administration was talking about how the bricks and mortar is going to fade out. That's all I was saying.
I know.
Not saying that you was wrong, good man. I'm just talking about business administration, business law. Yes. That's all I'm doing.
That they're teaching this, that they're telling people this, and we're supposed to, like good little sheeple, just go along with it.
All I was doing was just going to get me another degree. You're right. I went along with it. I was just going to get my degree. I went to step there and argue with that professor. That woman had a degree in business law. She already was looking at me rolling her eyes. She was mad at me anyway. And I was going to make that woman more angry.
Okay.
Every question come out of her mouth. You got a point to say about that, Clee? So let me leave you all alone now. Okay?
All right. Thank you for your call, brother.
It's like they said the same thing about education. That education is about to radically change, that people won't want to come to physical schools anymore. Everybody's just going to sit at home and get educated in front of their computer monitor.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we see how that worked out. American kids lost about 2 or 3 years of development taking school over Zoom. But let's get this next caller. Like I said, the phone calls are blowing up. Hello, caller.
Okay, when you said the shot for people 65 and over, and you said, oops, are you talking about something that we're supposed to be taking now, the booster that we're supposed to be taking now?
It is the
already taken.
Well, I haven't taken it, so I'm not exactly sure. It's the bivalent shot. It's the updated COVID-19 shot.
Yeah.
So
there's not that much difference between the booster shot and the
they're saying that
first shot.
People who are 65 and older were more likely to have an ischemic stroke 21 days after receiving the Pfizer BioNTech bivalent shot in comparison with other days. So
that's the shot the booster shot that we're supposed to be taking. Some people have taken them within the last maybe 6 months. Is that the shot that is saying that some people may have a problem?
It's not limiting it to the booster shot. It's saying that the people who take the shot, whether it's the initial shot or the booster shot, there's a connection between the Pfizer shots and this stroke.
Right.
When did they discover that?
They just did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the CDC just released this on last Friday, saying that that it could be linked to a type of brain stroke in older adults.
Okay, so those people who took theirs maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, I guess this probably is not involving them, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just all I can tell people. Stay vigilant. That's all I tell people, because everybody I know, all my family members all took the vaccine. I know a few people have had some issues. I know one woman who had heart failure a few weeks after being vaccinated, went into heart failure. All I can say is be vigilant. If you're having any symptoms whatsoever after taking the vaccine, make sure you go see a doctor. Please go see your doctor. Know that this is a possibility. Know that heart attacks, strokes, myocarditis, these things are possible. Do not put it off. Don't just ignore it. If you're having symptoms, go get it checked out. Okay? Go get yourself checked out.
They even, when you get the shot, among the things that you are given the option of is signing up so that you can report any sort of side effects.
Right.
Great or small, significant or indifferent, report it anyway, because the reality is they need to know this data.
Okay, what is the name of this again?
What's the name of what?
The booster you're speaking of.
It says Pfizer BioNTech.
The Pfizer shot.
Yeah, Pfizer BioNTech. Yeah.
BioNTech, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, some people had theirs like 3 months ago, and they're doing okay. But
well, most people are going to be doing okay. Like I said, this is something that happens to a certain percentage of the population.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it's not a necessity. It's not necessarily going to happen to you. It won't always happen to you. But like I said, just know it's a possibility.
See, and once again, I hate to keep asking. It may cause you to have what? A heart attack, or what was that?
Ischemic stroke. That's what they said. There's a chance for an ischemic stroke.
Mm-hmm. See, we're not like the other side.
Okay, how do you spell that first word?
Let me see. ISCHEMIC.
Ischemic stroke. Thank you.
All right. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your call. We got to take this next call before we go to a break. Mm-hmm. Hello, caller.
Yes, good evening.
What's
really
up?
Enjoying your program.
It's all good, brother.
Yeah, I'm a veteran of the Vietnam experience in 68, 69.
Mm-hmm.
We took a battery of immunizations, walking through a line.
Right.
And first they make you sign on the dotted line so you can't come back with a lawsuit. That's the catch-22 to that. Well, I was already regular Army, and I can still remember my serial number, RA169089513, and that's back in 66. I was 19. I'm 74 now.
Wow.
And I often wondered about that Aid and Orange,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this is catch-22 in that, what I'm talking about. Now, they trying to blame that with Dow Chemical Company, but the Army writes it off as casualties of war.
Mm-hmm.
You receiving some kind of reward, a large sum of money you come at them in a lawsuit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and so we've been thrown against the storm for so long. It's hard to say what's good and what's not. It's like the smallpox immunization back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
And when they laced those blankets with the smallpox disease when they gave them to those Indians.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell nobody, but they found out about it. Just like you might say Black Wall Street, how they did those people in Tulsa.
Yep.
The first bomb dropped on America was when they dropped them, the bags of dynamite from the crop duster planes. You know what I'm talking about? It wasn't 9/11. It was back in Tulsa.
Yeah.
But they don't make a thing of it. They try to cover up like they always done. It's the big ones eat up the little ones. I read this book where everything fed on something else to survive. A book called The Pond. You know what I'm saying? So the big ones eat up the little ones. Mm-hmm. And we go on not knowing what's really going down, but we find out too late and not too soon, and yet still. So we call it a tailspin. So my situation, that Aid and Orange, and I got that PTS. I was labeled with PTSD, post-stress disorder, and back then they called it shell shock, or what I'm talking about, nicknamed it something else. They do that, you understand, to cover up, you understand, for their findings and this, that, and other. So who do you believe? What do you do in a situation like that? When you're caught between, what I'm talking about, that situation where it work and don't work. Like you were telling me about this stroke thing that come on the scene now for those who at a certain age. Well, 65, they think you ain't got too many years after that, no way. That's how they look at it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, some people live to be 115, 119 years old.
Hey, you never know.
So you never know, the Lord say when. He give it, you know what I'm talking about, and he can take it. So I don't know, so
It's all good, brother. Thank you for your call. We got to go to a commercial break.
Thank you for the both of you.
It's all good, folks. When we get back, we're going to talk about another one of the biggest frauds ever.
I ain't going nowhere. I got my ears on and my eyes open.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Keep them open now.
Keep them open. Yeah, one of the biggest frauds ever perpetrated against the American public. Russiagate when we get back.
Listening to Cannon Rev on WLTH 1370 now. Give us a call, 219-885-1371. $53.